Recording is started.
Okay, so welcome everybody. Good evening. First of all, thank you for taking out time. सब busy है, बहुत कुछ चलता रहता है लोगों की life में, but still you guys are here. So thank you for that. And today we are going to discuss on the book Your Soul's Plan by Robert Schwartz. Before that, thoda sa introduction about me and Nafisa. Well, I am a hypnotherapist, tarot, reiki healer, basically into the field of energy healing. और ये भी जो बुक है वो सेल्फ हीलिंग पे थोड़ी बहुत है, एनर्जी पे है, सोल्स पे है. इन अ वे इट हैज मोटिवेटेड मी, जिसके बारे में काफी और डिटेल में बात करेंगे. But that's me. Most of you otherwise know me. Over to you, Nafisa. Please introduce the amazing person that you are.
Thanks, Urmi. Hi, everybody. I'm Nafisa. I definitely come from a very different background compared to Urmi. I'm an engineer by design. Until a year ago, I was working as a product manager in the world of tech. At the same time, over the last few years, I have slowly found myself gravitating towards the topics of spirituality, towards the topics of healing, to understand my own relationship with the stories that we tell ourselves, the way our lives go forward, the roles that we play in each other's life, what is destiny, what is free will, all of these different concepts and philosophies, something that I've been interested in. And the interest in that is kind of what brought mine and Urmi's path to interact as well. And so she was actually the one who recommended this book to me earlier this year. And I started reading it, and I don't know, I think I read it for like a few days and I immediately messaged her saying, there's so many ideas in this that really resonate with me. And that's kind of how the idea of doing this book discussion came into fruition. And we've been wanting to do this for a few months and we finally made it happen. So I'm very excited that today is the day that it
Nice.
happened.
So, to dive a little bit into ये book का discussion क्यों हो रहा है? Like Nafisa very well pointed out कि I am a firm believer of the fact that everything happens for a reason. And I mean every little thing, even the way people say the flap of the butterfly is also happening for a reason. So I am a reader. I like reading. मैं fiction भी पढ़ती हूँ, self help books भी पढ़ती हूँ. And randomly मैं एक trip पे गई थी. मैं जो book पढ़ रही थी, I carry my books with me. वो खत्म हो गए. And I had time in my hand. मुझे पढ़ना था. I had nothing to read. And randomly, I have this person. I'm a part of couple of book clubs on WhatsApp. And this person is texting a PDF copy of this book, Your Soul's Plan. And in my head I'm like, यार कुछ पढ़ने के लिए नहीं है, यही पढ़ लेते हैं, जो है वही पढ़ लेते हैं, randomly. And मैंने थोड़ी book पढ़ी and I loved the first chapter so much, the first few pages so much. I printed the entire book because I could not wait कि मैं order करूँ वो book आए. That is how I felt towards the book. Then I continued reading and the book has certain parts which changed my perspective towards life. And then after that there was this point कि मैं जितने लोगों को मिलती थी ना, सबको मैं बोलती थी कि यार ये पढ़ो, ये पढ़ो, ये पढ़ो. And Nafisa was one of those people who got to hear a lot of that, and she was like, ठीक है, try कर ही लेते हैं. And I'm glad that she felt so connected to the book that she's here today doing this with me, because I feel just knowing the concepts that are shared in the book, आप चाहे इसके बाद book पढ़ें या ना पढ़ें, it's completely your choice. But just the certain concepts which have been discussed, they are so powerful that they can actually change the way you look at life. And that is what matters at the end, right? So वही reason है कि हम लोग ये discussion कर रहे हैं. I hope it touches and reaches to you in the deepest ways possible. Okay. With that, I think let me start with the first topic that is discussed in the book. और उसको समझने के लिए एक शब्द है soul, your soul's plan, right? तो soul शब्द का मतलब समझते हैं. Very quickly, I will request some of you to please open the chat boxes and tell me आपके लिए soul शब्द का मतलब क्या है? What do you understand, when someone says soul? जो भी है, यहाँ सही गलत कुछ भी नहीं है. तो जो भी आपको लगता है, प्लीज ओपन योर चैट बॉक्सेस, प्लीज लेट मी नो. For some people, they also like to call soul as atma. अब हमारे अंदर की जो आत्मा है, तो you want to talk about that, जो भी आपके thoughts हैं. It's the spiritual essence. Manas is stating that. Okay, that is definitely true, Manas. You are. Uh, it is the essence. More responses. More responses. Soul for me is something which cannot be seen but has the most impact in our life. That's deep. I'm gonna give you one more minute. Spiritual part of the person. Okay. Okay. If you are still working on the writer, please feel free to share. मैं थोड़ा सा सोल के बारे में बोलना शुरू करती हूँ. All of you are correct. Okay. But all of you are half correct. Why? One of the things, which we have never realized or even taught per se is a very simple fact. We are always being told, oh, you are a human with a soul. But we are not a human with a soul. We are a soul with a human body. It's a very simple statement, but listen to it again. एक और बार सुनिए. We are not a human with a soul. We are a soul with a human body. बहुत बड़ा फर्क है ये दोनों स्टेटमेंट्स में. क्या फर्क है? फर्क ये है कि हम आत्मा है, हम ये सोल है, and the soul lives forever. The soul never dies. Today, my soul has taken birth in this human body of Urmi. Right? Tomorrow, when this human body dies, my soul will live on. तो मैं क्या हुई? मैं उर्मी नहीं हुई, मैं उर्मी अभी हूँ. मैं क्या हूँ? मैं सोल हूँ. मैं वो आत्मा हूँ जो बहुत सारी लाइव्स जीते हैं. For all of you who believe in multiple lives, past lives, this is the concept. And for all of you who do not, it's okay. Just understand the concept that ह्यूमन बॉडी को चलाने के लिए एक सॉफ्टवेयर चाहिए. वो सॉफ्टवेयर आपका सोल है. ठीक है. ह्यूमन बॉडी हार्डवेयर है. उसको चला कौन रहा है? सॉफ्टवेयर के बिना हार्डवेयर का कुछ काम नहीं है. हार्डवेयर इंपॉर्टेंट है. हार्डवेयर के बिना भी सॉफ्टवेयर फंक्शन नहीं कर पाएगा बिकॉज इट्स जस्ट एग्जिस्टिंग, बट इट इज देयर. राइट. सो टू अगेन like summarize and bring the concept very clear to you is ki soul is who we really are, and it exists in multiple dimensions and throughout timeline, and there is no end to the soul. Okay. Saying this, why are we now talking about your soul's plan? What do we mean when I say ki aapki atma kya plan kar rahi hai? Let's hear from Nafisa, what she has to say about this.
So now Urmi talked about the concept of a soul. She also briefly talked about the idea that the soul is kind of what stays consistent, and the human body is just a vehicle. It's just a means. It's just the hardware. So with this, there's another concept that essentially comes into picture, and which is the idea of incarnating multiple times. So I'll do a very quick poll. How many people in this room have thought about or believe in the idea of reincarnation versus people who think कि boss यही है, this is my one and only life. इसके बाद क्या होता है? I have no idea. And there's no right or wrong answers. Right? It's a very, like, there are people who believe, there are people who don't believe.
So if you believe, just put a Y.
Yeah.
If you don't believe, put a N. अगर आप मानते हैं कि मरने के बाद भी आत्मा जीती है और okay, we have a lot of Ys. Wow. Makes our work easier, Nafisa.
Easier to preach to believers than to non-believers.
Exactly.
So basically, what this book talks about is that for me, for example, before me as Nafisa incarnated into this human life, my soul essentially had a meeting. Okay, it's called a pre-birth planning. Imagine karo aise hi, we're all sitting around a table, around a virtual table and discussing. That's basically what my soul did. And my soul worked with a guide, kind of like an elder, someone who has wisdom, and other souls. I'll come to that in a second, to essentially decide certain elements about my life. For example, who should be my parents? What family am I born into? What country am I born into? What gender am I born as? Right? So, is life mein I am a woman who was born in Pune. In a previous life, I could have been a man who was born in Germany. Right? I could have been a woman who was born in Tanzania. तुम्हारे लाइफ के कंस्ट्रेंट्स, तुम्हारे लाइफ के एंटिटीज एंड तुम्हारी लाइफ की सर्टेन इवेंट्स are what is planned in a pre-birth planning. And the purpose of doing that is essentially to give a direction for that soul. And what determines that? Your past lives. तुम्हारे previous lives में क्या lessons तुमने learn किए हैं, क्या lessons तुमने learn नहीं किए हैं. For example, if in the past life I was someone, say, who was a teacher. Let's say in the past life, what I did was a lot of teaching. Maybe in this life, maybe, I'm just giving a hypothetical, maybe in this life, I come in as a role of a student. In past life, maybe I was a caretaker. Maybe I was a mother who took care of kids. In the current life, I may reincarnate as someone who is a child of parents who need to take care of me. So depending on your past life, depending on the things that your soul needs to learn, your soul needs to evolve, you as you yourself actually decide कि अच्छा मुझे ये चाहिए, मुझे ये चाहिए, मुझे ये चाहिए. And who helps you do these things? Your you have the concept of a soul contract. AKA मैं decide करती हूँ, for example, कि I want my mother to be my mother. I want my father to be my father. And so in this meeting, in this pre-birth planning that's happening, my soul and my mother's soul are deciding कि she will be my mother. And to some extent, you also decide what kind of relationship that will be. And why am I talking about that? Because if you've noticed in your life, there are relationships that to you as a human being, for me as Nafisa, the human being, there are certain relationships that support me, certain relationships that nourish me, and there are certain relationships in my life that challenge me. There are certain relationships that may seem like कि यार क्यों है ये मेरी जिंदगी में? Constantly causing pain, constantly causing irritation, constantly causing a lot of challenges, right? Like we all have people like that in our life. Some people we love, some people we love, but it's a complex love relationship. And what this book essentially says is that you have a pre-birth planning where with these other souls, you are deciding, ki boss, you have to trouble me a little bit in life because that trouble is what will help me to learn. That trouble is what will help me to grow. That trouble is what will push me to break out of my boundaries. And at the same time, we have the other people who are there to support you and nourish you because you also need that in your life. And so all of these souls are sitting around in one roundtable conference to decide and to figure out how the soul jiski planning ho rahi hai, in this case, aka me, to decide what are the elements of my life that will help me to grow, that will help me to in some ways hit the goals that I wanted for myself for this incarnation. Remember though, we're talking about this incarnation only. इसके बाद भी बहुत आएंगे, इसके पहले भी बहुत है. So there are certain goals to come into this life with, and this pre-birth planning session with other souls helps you figure out कि ये चीजें हम life में करेंगे. Now your question must be कि okay, I understand that, but why are we picking some of these things? Why am I picking to have a challenging father, for example? Or why am I picking to have a challenging experience? Urmi will take us through some of those reasons.
Yes. So very, very well put, Nafisa, the entire concept of, कि souls decide करते हैं. सबसे पहले तो ये एक्सेप्ट करना हमारे लिए बहुत डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है कि यार मैं क्यों इस पर्सन को चूज करूंगा कि मुझे आके परेशान करे. I know it sounds crazy, but hear me out. This is how it is. Have you ever like taken a step back and question कि यार what is the purpose of living? मतलब मैंने जन्म लिया, मैं बड़ी हुई, मैं स्कूल गई, काम किया, पैसे कमाए, फैमिली बनाई, मैं मर गई, बट पॉइंट क्या है? सब लोग कर रहे हैं, बट पॉइंट क्या है? कभी क्वेश्चन किया है? तो उस क्वेश्चन का, यू नो, व्हाई आर वी डूइंग दिस, द आंसर टू दैट क्वेश्चन इज बिकॉज हम आत्मा है, बिकॉज हम सोल है। मैं उर्मी से बहुत ज्यादा हूं, और उस आत्मा के लिए हम ये कर रहे हैं, उस सोल के लिए, फॉर दैट सोल टू ग्रो, फॉर दैट सोल टू mature and learn and raise its vibration. We are coming on this planet Earth with the pre-birth planning that Nafisa explained, so that we can experience whatever we have chosen. I'm going to repeat it. We have chosen. जो हमने experiences choose किए हैं जन्म लेने के पहले, हम वही experience करने आते हैं इस planet Earth में, ताकि हमारा soul सीखे. Okay? I'm going to read a line from the book to understand this at a deeper level, and then we're going to take it ahead from that. So it says something like this. The soul knows that all is one, but casts itself from that knowledge so that it may feel separation. ठीक है? यानी कि जो आत्मा है, जो सोल है, उसे पता है कि it is everything. At a soul level, there is nothing big or small, less or more. Soul is all knowing. जब हम सोल की एनर्जी में होते हैं ना, तब सब लव होता है. देयर इज ओनली लव, देयर इज नो अदर एनर्जी, लिटरली नो अदर एनर्जी. और जब हम सोल होते हैं, जब हमारी कॉन्शियसनेस इज ऑफ द सोल लेवल, एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम वी आर कनेक्टेड विद दैट ऑल नोइंग एनर्जी. तब सब नॉलेज होता है, सब कुछ होता है हमारे पास. Yet what does it saying? That it casts itself from that knowledge. हमारा soul choose करता है कि मुझे भूल जाना है. I want to forget that I am a soul. That is literally what we decide. Why? The lessons that the personality brings back to the soul. Keyword क्या है? Personality. Personality कौन है? उर्मी. मैं कौन हूं? मैं soul हूं. Personality कौन है? उर्मी. तो मेरा soul as a soul, Urmi is as a personality, Urmi is experiencing certain experiences in this life. अब मुझे मेरे फ्रेंड से कोई प्रॉब्लम है, मुझे करियर में कुछ प्रॉब्लम है, सारे जो प्रॉब्लम्स मैंने चूज किए हैं उससे उर्मी कुछ सीख रही है, राइट? और वो सीख कौन लेके जा रहा है वापस? मेरा सोल. बिकॉज उर्मी इज गोना डाई सम पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम, दिस बॉडी इज गोना गो. वो सीख, वो एक्सपीरियंस कौन लेके जा रहा है? My soul is taking that back. And what is it doing with that learning, with that experience? It is raising the vibrations. That personality brings back to the soul are incorporated to the understanding the greater human experiences. While souls know that they are loved and that they are loved, to learn the fullness of it, we experience the lack of love so that we may understand self-love from all facets and all directions. इसको थोड़ा इजी लैंग्वेज में समझते हैं. क्या मतलब हुआ इसका? इसका ये मतलब हुआ कि अभी हम लोग सब रूम में बैठे हैं, राइट? रूम में क्या है? रोशनी है. एवरीबडी हैज लाइट्स इन देयर रूम. वी नो हाउ द लाइट वर्क्स. ओ आई नो देयर इज इलेक्ट्रिसिटी, देयर इज अ बल्ब, वो कनेक्ट होते हैं तो लाइट होती है, सबको पता है. बट इमेजिन कि वो अंधेरा हो जाता है. इमेजिन दैट देयर इज टोटल डार्कनेस. एंड नाउ इमेजिन कि आप खुद वो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी प्रोड्यूस करके, वो बल्ब बना के, उसको कनेक्ट करके रोशनी ला रहे हो. नॉलेज इज वन थिंग एंड गेनिंग दैट सेम नॉलेज थ्रू एन एक्सपीरियंस इज अ डिफरेंट थिंग. हमारी आत्मा को सब पता है, उसको पता है कि रोशनी है, रोशनी ऐसे होती है, सब पता है. बट हम धरती पे, प्लैनेट अर्थ पे इसीलिए आ रहे हैं क्योंकि मुझे वो बनाना सीखना है. I want to create that by myself. And when I do that, I am so much more knowledge, I am so much more experienced, एंड आई एम रेजिंग माई वाइब्रेशन. फिर मुझे कोई एबीसी पूछ ले इलेक्ट्रिसिटी के बारे में, लाइट के बारे में, आई नो एवरीथिंग बिकॉज आई क्रिएटेड इट. राइट, आर वी अंडरस्टैंडिंग दिस कॉन्सेप्ट कि नॉलेज एंड क्रिएशन. तो जब when I say that we are choosing our own challenges, मैंने खुद चूज किया कि ये पर्सन आके मुझे बॉदर करे. एंड we're not going to go into the details of the chapters today because आज बस कॉन्सेप्ट समझाना है हमें. बट बुक में जो एग्जाम्पल्स दिए हैं, दे आर लाइक पीपल आर चूजिंग कैंसर इन द प्री बर्थ प्लानिंग. लोगों ने चूज किया कि मुझे इस जन्म में कैंसर चाहिए. क्यों? क्योंकि वो कैंसर कुछ सिखा के जाएगा. मुझे इस लाइफ में चाहिए कि मेरा एक्सीडेंट हो. एंड वी डिसाइड दोज एज कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स विद पीपल. मैं चूज करती हूँ कि आई वॉन्ट अ फादर हु इज अल्कोहलिक. My soul has chosen. I know it sounds crazy, but that is how, at the soul level, at the energy level, we are all functioning. Universe में कुछ ऐसे ही थोड़ी होता है, कुछ reason है. If you are experiencing a form of challenge, please understand that there is a reason why that challenge has come to you. There is a reason why you have chosen that challenge. Uh, Nafisa, you might want to take over from here.
So,
Can I
like
ask
for me,
uh,
yes.
not question, I would say. I mean, just to understand more about the book, like we spoke about reincarnation and the soul chooses to take rebirth in whatever form or whatever challenges they want, right? I mean, as per our culture, if you see, we talk about rebirth not just once or twice. We talk about it maybe 1,000 times, million times. I mean, a lot of times. So, is there any mention in the book as to why there is like a soul wants to take rebirth or whatever in whatever form so many times? I mean, so many million times, right? Is there anything like that or any? I mean, I'm just curious actually about that. So.
You're absolutely correct. So basically,
Hold me 1 second. Sorry to cut you off because my question is on the same line, so you can answer both together.
yeah,
And even if we have decided to, means even if we are taking both multiple times, then
huh,
why would my soul select hardship even in this birth?
Correct.
Technically, yeah. Now you can continue. Yes.
yeah. So both of your questions absolutely to the point, and that is exactly what we're going to explain in a moment. That is what Nafisa was going to do. कि why hardship? आसानी से भाई ABCD करके क्यों नहीं पढ़ सकते हैं, right? But yeah, Nafisa, take it forward.
So, essentially, what the book talks about is this very interesting concept called learning through opposites. इसका मतलब क्या है? For example, my soul has forgotten what it means to accept myself. Self-acceptance का experience है ही नहीं. My soul does not know how to love myself for who I am, accept myself for who I am, take myself for who I am. And so what the soul does is to get to that point of learning, embracing, and accepting myself, I will put myself in the opposite situation. What does that mean? एक situation हो सकता है कि everybody around me does not accept me. Everybody around me, including my own parents. The book has a very, if you go through the book, there's like 10 stories, 10 examples, okay? And each of them have different contexts. One of the contexts that the book talks about is this person who is gay. And he's a gay man who eventually contracts AIDS. Now, we all exist in society. We all know the amount of stigma, the amount of lack of acceptance we have around AIDS. And frankly, to be honest, also the lack of acceptance we have around someone who is gay or lesbian. And so this person chooses to incarnate as someone who is gay. And he chooses to eventually contract AIDS because both of these experiences combined for him, or for that soul rather, is the peak of lack of acceptance. Mother is not accepting, father is not accepting, friends are not accepting, society is giving so much grief for being who he is. And so obviously, for the first X numbers of this soul's life, right? He's going through a lot of hardship. He's going through a lot of shame. He's going through a lot of guilt. He's going through a lot of kya worth hai mera. But eventually, the idea is that when you go through this opposite experience, you go through the deficiency or you go to the lack, you come out of that experience giving to yourself what you are expecting from other people. And so this person eventually comes out of it after a lot of hardship. Well, let's be honest. I think none of us have come into this life to have a very easy, breezy life. After a lot of hardship, this person comes out on the other end, giving himself actually what he was so badly seeking from other people, which is that he learned to accept himself. He learned to love himself. And through that, he actually healed the part of the soul that was carrying the pain, that was carrying the trauma, if you will, of the past generations of lack of self acceptance. And so the idea is that कि जो चीज चाहिए, जो चीज सीखना है, जो चीज मिसिंग है, you experience that to almost like a certain kind of a peak. So you almost like you go down, and only when you go down do you learn how to come up. And so our souls choose these experiences to help us really see what it means, what it feels like to go on the other side. And why does the soul do that, right? One is to experience acceptance. Actually, at the core of it, a lot of it is to experience.
Nafisa, just I'm going to pause you there. Sorry. Just going to connect what you said to the questions that were asked. So, Harshit, to bring it down to exactly the question that you asked, कि hardship क्यों? मतलब मैं क्यों easy नहीं कर सकती हूँ? Which is a very legit question जो honestly starting के 2 चैप्टर में मैंने खुद को पूछा था कि मैं क्यों चूज करूं, मतलब मैं इतनी स्टूपिड क्यों कि मैंने इस इंसान को चूज किया. आई नो वी ऑल हैव दोस काइंड्स ऑफ पीपल इन आवर लाइफ जिसको थिंकिंग कि ओ ये पर्सन को मैंने चूज किया इज गोना फील स्टूपिड. आई नो, बट अगेन लेट अस कनेक्ट इट टू द एग्जांपल व्हिच आई सेड कि अगर वो लाइट है रूम में, अगर लाइट ऑलरेडी है, अगर वो अंधेरा नहीं होता है, will you do the hardship to create electricity, find that bulb and do it? No. That's the whole point. That is why the soul needs to go into darkness before it can learn to create light. अब ये darkness, like Nafisa mentioned, non-acceptance है. जब तक वो non-acceptance से आप struggle कर रहे हो, you will not reach to self-acceptance. इसीलिए you have to feel non-acceptance. That is why some people को life में कभी compassion नहीं मिला, because they have to create that energy and feel that energy of compassion by themselves. So again, we're going to talk more about the examples in details and tab ये ज़्यादा clear होगा, but just touching the points as of now. And to answer the first question that was put up, every birth okay, इसको ऐसे समझते हैं कि how we have class 1, class 2, class 3, हर एक क्लास की अपनी लर्निंग है. हम सीधा किसी बच्चे को क्लास 5 में डाल देंगे तो बच्चे ABCD भी नहीं सीखा है. How is that child supposed to understand sentences and paragraphs and all of that, right? So we have to take multiple births, because in every birth we are slowly and gradually raising our vibration. वो पहले क्लास 1 की पढ़ाई की, उसमें से कुछ सीखा, उसमें कुछ गलतियां की, मे बी कुछ रह गया, कुछ टॉपिक्स, कुछ सिलेबस के टॉपिक्स रह गए, तो वापस उसके लिए बर्थ लिए. सो हर सोल की जर्नी अलग है. Some people have multiple births एक ही लेसन सीखने के लिए, क्योंकि वो नहीं सीख पाए. अगर मेरा ये लाइफ का लेसन है टू लर्न कंपैशन एंड ऑल माय लाइफ मुझे कंपैशन नहीं मिला है एंड आई एंड अप कमिटिंग सुसाइड बिकॉज ऑफ इट, तो मेरा वो लेसन हाफ रह गया. नेक्स्ट बर्थ अगेन आई एम गोना कम अप विद द सेम लेसन, डिफरेंट सर्कमस्टेंसेस, क्योंकि पहले वाले सर्कमस्टेंसेस में मैं नहीं सीख पाई. तो मे बी सर्कमस्टेंसेस मेरा सोल डिफरेंटली प्लान करेगा, बट लेसन सेम रहेगा, बिकॉज इट्स अ पार्ट एंड पार्सल ऑफ द स्टेप्स इफ आई वांट टू गो अप. तो यस, मल्टीपल बर्थ्स होते हैं, लेकिन सारे सोल्स की जर्नी अलग रहती है. इट इज completely depending on their experiences, their past, their karma. Okay, saying that, coming back to you, Nafisa, with the takeaways.
So are you saying that if I learn my lesson, then necessarily I may not be, reborn again, and the soul, kind of like, because I was just going through Google and it says something like 8 million times, rebirth happens and things like that. So, I know you're just talking about the book, but these are the things that is just,
No,
popping up in my
we
head.
definitely wanted to be beyond the book because ये book एक जरिया है ये ऐसा कुछ discuss करने के लिए, but it's not limited to the book, I assure you. So thank you for that question. And to answer you, see, this is something जो ना it's on what you believe. ये हम prove नहीं कर पाएंगे. Nobody can actually prove this. But for me personally, I would not say कि 8 million births ही होते हैं या उससे कम होते हैं, उससे ज्यादा होते हैं. I feel it again depends on the soul क्योंकि हर soul की journey अलग है. Soul ने आज suppose मेरा lesson था compassion का, like I gave the example. In this life मैंने अपना lesson सीख लिया. Now do I want to go to class 5 का मैंने क्लियर कर लिया है, मुझे क्लास 6 में जाना है, चलो ग्रेजुएशन हो गया, क्या मुझे PhD करना है? Do I want, does my soul want to become a guide to other souls? Do I want to gain that level of experience? It depends on my soul कि मुझे कितना कहाँ कब एक्सपीरियंस लेना है. जरूरी नहीं है कि मैंने आई I've taken birth as उर्मी का लेसन सीख लिया. My soul can choose to rest because there is no time in that zone. Let's not go there again, वो बहुत deep concept हो जाएगा. Time is a concept that is on earth, but yeah, coming back to the topic of souls, I would not restrict it to a particular number of births for sure, but there are millions of births that we do take for multiple reasons, and everybody's journey is different. That is where I would like to conclude.
I would like to add a few things to what you said, Urmi. So, at least this is my interpretation, not necessarily what the book is saying. But what I took away from what I was reading was that there's there is the, say, the goal you incarnated into this life with. So, Mano, you have actually achieved that, right? Like, I came into this life to learn the lesson of self-acceptance, and say through my circumstances that I chose, through a lot of hardships, through ups and downs, I have finally got to a place where I have truly accepted myself. And मैंने वो lesson सीख लिया. That is the lesson of this life. But also, I don't think, at least my understanding was, I don't think souls are necessarily just planning for there's like current life lessons, and then there is also like what the soul's evolution looks like, right? So there's two parts of it. There's like, what are my short-term goals? What are my long-term goals? And so if you are able to clear your short-term goal, you have the ability to work on your long-term goals. But if you are not able to clear your short-term goals, it's almost like you failed first class and you keep repeating first class again and again and again till you have cleared first class. So that's like your reincarnation of the lessons of the same life is like failing first class. And then there is the going from, say, first standard till graduation of your undergrad, which is essentially the journey of the full soul. So that's one thing. And the second thing that I wanted to talk about, which the book briefly talks about, is that, and this may get slightly complex, but bear with me for a second. The book talks about the idea that souls choose to incarnate on earth as human beings in this context where you have the concept of space and time and people and relationships and pain and grief, etc. Because this environment and this setup is quite helpful to learn the lessons. जो हम जो pain experience करता है ना, what we experience as love, what we experience as hate, what we experience as pain, what we experience as grief, the emotions actually are not felt similarly at a soul level. What a human being experiences as emotions and what feels like good or bad, that is a very human construct. That is a very human experience. The soul actually does not experience it like that. And so to learn certain lessons, incarnating as a human being helps the soul learn those lessons. Having said that, a soul can decide कि boss, बहुत हो गया. मुझे नहीं करना है. I don't want to incarnate as a human being anymore, and I want to continue, like she said, I want to become a soul guide. These are a little bit complex concepts. I don't want to go into too many details, but you have the choice. As a soul, you can decide कि, okay, I have learned the lessons that I wanted to learn, and now I'm done with the realm of earth, and I will choose to continue to be in the realm of the other realm to come out as a guide, and I help other souls or to do something else, etc. Um, yeah, that was the other thing that I wanted to mention. Manas, you have a question?
Yes. Am I audible?
Yes.
My question was that after listening you, that what challenges or experiences in my life might have been planned by my soul to help me grow, or how can I align with the deeper purpose?
So, Manas, all your challenges are planned. All your, if you want a specific answer, I would rather say all your bigger challenges, especially uh, if we restrain it to the context of the book with people, the way you have chosen certain people in your life. Some are, uh, giving you. Okay, let's put it this way: that every person that you have met in your till date today, and whatever experiences they have given you, has been for a reason, be it good or be it bad. Because you asked them, if there is a person in your life who makes you feel very bad and makes you feel low, for example, you have asked that person to make you feel like that because there is something that you need to learn out of it. The ways that people make you feel can differ. It depends from person to person, but there are uh, whatever learning that your soul has chosen, you have also asked certain people in your life, possibly in your closer circle, possibly in the family and your friends who you are in touch with every day. Often those are the people who help us learn these bigger challenges of life. I hope that answers your question.
And
So,
in fact,
I
go.
would like to interrupt again. So sorry. So you said a soul, a soul takes rebirth maybe to learn a particular, like you said, compassion or maybe self-love or something. It's possible that I chose, like you gave an example of the gay and lesbian. I chose this, kind of reincarnation. I want to be born as a gay or a lesbian because I want to learn or face these challenges, learn these things in life. But it is possible that in that journey of a gay or a lesbian, there may be newer challenges because of which you take a rebirth again. And also, if does a human being, like you said, a soul takes rebirth only as a human, or is it possible that I choose to be an animal or a bird or any form? It could be.
Any form for sure. For the second answer, it's any form. But here we are specifically talking as humans because it's about learning lessons and everything. Probably as an animal also there would be some learning. It's something that we all can research on and get back for sure. Not a lot of light to throw on that subject, but coming back to the first part of your question, sorry, what was it? Can you repeat that again?
No, I, like you all mentioned, suppose I choose to be born as a gay and lesbian because I wanted to learn these lessons in this particular life. Right? That is the reason I'm reborn again. So it is
Right.
possible that I might face newer, newer lessons that I need to learn apart from what's going to be learned. So I might be reborn again as somebody else, right?
Definitely. So another interesting fact is कि one thing we all question कि भाई अगर सब decided है तो मेरे पास क्या ही है, मैं आके क्या ही कर रही हूँ या कर रहा हूँ. सब decided है, मैं तो सब decide करके आई हूँ क्या होने वाला है. Well, the fun part now is that yes, everything is decided, especially the big events, like who my parents are, who my partner is supposed to be, what challenges I'm supposed to have, what career I'm supposed to choose. Sab decided hai. But as a human, I have a choice. In life, we are often guided, because how I said sab kuch reasons se hota hai. If this book came to me at a random time, at that moment, I had a choice. Do I read it? Do I not read it? I chose to read it. It led me to this path. If I would not have read it, we would not be here. Similarly, life के जो बड़े-बड़े incidences भी होते हैं, उसमें मेरे पास choice है. As a human, जब मुझे choice मिलती है, तो या तो मैं जो path मेरा soul choose करके आया है, या तो मैं उस पे रहूंगी, या तो मैं distract होके किसी और path में चली जाऊंगी, and then I will start making karmas, एंड फिर उसको भी रिजॉल्व करने के लिए या उसकी जो लेसन है वो सीखने के लिए मैं आऊंगी. बट बिफोर वी क्वेश्चन मोर ऑन दिस, देयर इज नथिंग रॉन्ग दैट एवर हैपेंस एट सोल लेवल. ठीक है,
Okay.
अगर मैंने जो फॉर एग्जाम्पल कंपैशन वाला लेसन मैंने चूज किया था, लेकिन उस मैं डिस्ट्रैक्ट होके किसी और पाथ में चली गई और कुछ और लेसन आए, आई एम स्टिल लर्निंग. लेट अस कंपेयर इट टू अ स्टूडेंट हु इज गिविंग एन एग्जाम. वो पर्सन प्रोबेबली कोई और पेपर दे के आ गया, यू नो, आज ज्योग्राफी का एग्जाम था, मैं साइंस पढ़ के चली गई, पर मैंने पढ़ा कुछ, मैं फेल हो गई वो एग्जाम में, बट आई रेड, I am still getting some experience. So very clearly in the book it is said that there is nothing, no losing. There is literally no losing for a soul. ऐसे नहीं तो ऐसे आप कुछ ना कुछ सीख के तो जा ही रहे हो. अब वो प्लानिंग वाला होगा तो यू नो you're like on a path, properly रूट में आप आगे बढ़ रहे हो. पाथ में नहीं है तो प्रोबेबली एक दो बर्ड्स थोड़े ज्यादा लेने पड़ेंगे, जो कर्मा ज्यादा बना लिए उन्हें सॉल्व करने पड़ेंगे. बट यू आर स्टिल लर्निंग. अल्टीमेट पर्पस क्या है सोल का? कम बर्थ करना नहीं, बिकॉज टाइम ही है सोल के पास. कुछ लोगों से कम मिलना नहीं. द सोल इज ओपन टू एक्सपीरियंसिंग. पर्पस है वाइब्रेशन रेस करना. सो द सोल इज एट अ सोल लेवल, देयर इज नो लॉस per se.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, so where were we, Nafisa?
Before we go to the last section, I wanted to just tell Manas that, first of all, thank you for asking that question. And I would actually turn it around and ask you, you don't have to do it in this session, but ask you, and in fact, ask all of you to take a second after we finish today's session and think about the challenges you've had in your life, right? And we've all had challenges. They can be big, they can be small. Think about the challenges you've had in your life and ask yourself the question, ki, what lessons have those challenges come to teach me? Has there been lessons that I have learned in the process? Who was I before that challenge and who was I after the challenge, and how have I evolved as a person? And in your eyes, something could be for better or for worse. Again, those are very human concepts of this is bad and this is good and this is evolution and this is devolution. Human concepts. But even with the, because you are a human, I am a human, तो हम हमारे human framework के साथ ही process करेंगे. With that human framework, take a second later on and just ask yourself the question of what have these challenges, pick a challenge and ask yourself the question of what have these challenges come to teach me. That was the one thing that I wanted to tell Manas. Because that's what the book did for me. Like when I was reading the book, right, and I was trying to let it integrate, one of the first things as I started reading, one of the first things I started thinking about was like, oh, okay, why is this person come into my life? Like this person keeps making me feel a certain way. And, you know, at a surface level, there's a lot of frustration that I experience. It's almost like, I'm stuck. ये तो पैटर्न में मैं स्टक हूँ कि दिस पर्सन के साथ यही बार बार होता रहता है. It's been 3 years, 4 years, X years. So now my perspective has shifted to, okay, is this person trying to show me something? Are they trying to tell me something? Is their presence or this pattern trying to make me see something about myself, my life, my framework, my emotions, my approach? And that sort of shifted how I've looked at things, which in fact brings me to our last section for today, which is, what is the purpose of us doing this today? Why is it that we've all gathered here, right? Like it's, of course, at a surface level, it is to share the ideas from this book because it's something that both of us connected with. But the reason why we connected it with so much was that reading this book and understanding the concepts of this book shifted our perspective on our own lives, shifted my perspective on how I look at things that have happened in my life in 3 key ways. The first one is the idea of forgiveness. There are people in my life that I've held a lot of anger towards, to be very honest with you. There are people in my life that I've held animosity towards, because for me, they were people who came and did this bad thing or like said something to someone else or were very strict with me. Simple example, right? And you hold on to anger being like, mere saath aisa tumne kyun kiya hai? And from that, it's starting to shift. I'm not even going to say it's fully there yet and, oh, I have forgiven everybody and I have now an evolved human being. Not at all. But it has started the journey of learning to forgive some of the people in my life, because now I have this perspective that, oh, maybe they are doing this for a reason. Maybe I have asked them to do this and I obviously just don't remember. More importantly, it has also allowed me to forgive myself. Also, a very important thing that we tend to forget is that forgiving ourselves for the things that we've also done, we hold on to very strongly. So the first thing that this book helped me do is start the path of forgiveness. The second one is acceptance. And I don't mean acceptance in the sense that कि ओ मेरे साथ बुरा ही होता है, this is my life, हाथ पकड़ के बैठ जाओ. No, absolutely not. It is acceptance कि this is what has happened, so now what can I do about it? Very big difference, right? Because the first one is a victim mindset. The first one is that I am a victim of the circumstances of my life and I have no role to play here. I cannot do anything about it. And from that, it's to shift the perspective to these things are happening in my life. I have chosen them. What can I learn from it? What can I do about it? Or to go a little bit deeper to understand why is it happening in my life. So there is an acceptance of the situation without being a victim, actually recognizing that I have a choice. This is the thing we talked about earlier, ki free will kya hai life mein, right? You can also read this book and think ki, okay, everything is decided. I am just a helpless player. Life comes, slaps and goes, and I'm just sitting here. No, right? How you react to it is in your control. How you feel about it eventually is in your control. And so acceptance of the situation in a manner that helps me move forward is the second thing that the books helps us with, or at least helped me with. And the third, which is the most important, which actually is like a superset of all, is self-reflection. For you to really sit back and think about your life as it has happened, all of the players in your life, the people that have come. There are some people that also come and go. There are some people who come and stay. There are some people who come and go. So it's for you to take a second and reflect on everything that has happened so far and what has it happened for. And that is actually why we wanted to kickstart this discussion, is to bring these ideas, is to bring this tool of reflection to you guys, is to hopefully start to change your perspective about how you look at your life, so you feel more empowered versus feeling more like a helpless victim.
Yeah. So just to give you an imagery, excuse me, do you know what exactly Nafisa said? It's like, imagine करो कि आप खड़े हो, आपके सामने वो इंसान खड़ा है और वो इंसान आपको जोर से थप्पड़ मार रहा है. You are angry, you are frustrated, you want revenge, you want to hit back. बहुत emotions है, हम human हैं. Definitely emotions आएंगे. You have the right to feel all of those things. वो feel कर लो. उसके बाद थोड़ा सा ना ऐसे जाके पीछे देखो. You will realize कि उस इंसान को आपने बोला था कि आके मुझे मार. Because मुझे कुछ सीखना है. Because मुझे probably self-love सीखना है. Because I need to learn to stand up for myself or whatever that lesson is. और जब मैं वो देखती हूँ ना, ये वाला जो एक लुक है ना, वो पर्पस है ये सेशन का, टू गिव यू दैट स्पेस कि आप ऐसे करके देखो, कि जब वो देखोगे आपकी यार ये तो मैंने ही बोला था, तो फॉरगिवनेस आसान हो जाएगा. मे बी आप नहीं कर पाएंगे ओवरनाइट फॉरगिव, मैं भी नहीं कर पाती, आई एम नॉट सम सुपर ह्यूमन ईदर, बट that knowledge that अरे यार I told the soul to do this to me. Literally after reading this book, ऐसा कितनी बार हुआ है, that same person I see him, I'm like यार, it's so frustrating, and then I sit back and I laugh कि यार क्यों मैंने इस person को attract किया, ऐसी क्या सीख है. I laugh at it because it is crazy the way certain people irritate you, and yet knowing कि यार इसको तो मैंने ही अपने जीवन में बुलाया है. Because that is true, because that is your soul's decision. Again, without going into the details, one of the craziest thing which took me a lot of time to connect to, which is mentioned in the book, is कि the souls who who bother you the most are the ones who you are closest to at the soul level. मतलब at a human level मुझे लगता है कि यार इस person से तो जितना दूर रहो अच्छा है, पर बुक का ऐसा कहना है. एंड ऑनेस्टली कहीं ना कहीं मैं आफ्टर अ लॉट ऑफ थिंकिंग एंड एक्सपीरियंसिंग मैं अग्री करूंगी कि जो सोल्स हमें सबसे ज्यादा हर्ट करते हैं ना, वही हमसे सबसे ज्यादा सोल लेवल पे क्लोज होते हैं, क्योंकि हम उन्हें हक से बोल सकते हैं कि तू आके मुझे ये करना, बिकॉज तू ये करेगा ना, उसके बाद भी आई विल लव यू बिकॉज आई नो फॉर यू इट इज कमिंग फ्रॉम अ लविंग स्पेस. Are we understanding? Let me put it in some other words and explain that. Sometimes when we ask a certain soul to hurt us at a human level on earth, who are we going to ask? We're going to ask the souls we are closest to, right? अगर मुझे आज किसी की हेल्प चाहिए एज ए ह्यूमन, जो लोग मुझसे सबसे करीब है, मैं उनके पास जाऊंगी. सिमिलरली सोल लेवल पे सेम चीज होती है. अगर मुझे कुछ सीखना है तो I will go to the souls who are closest to me, and those are the souls also who at a human level probably hurt us the most, but hey, give that look, take that pause, and who acceptance will make it easier. Forgive करना और eventually ना वो reason भी दिख जाएगा. So just being patient and stop asking yourself why me. That's the whole purpose why we have come together to do this, so that you stop victimizing yourself, so that you accept कि जो हो रहा है is not because you are a bad person or you deserve the worst. It's because your soul is that powerful कि जो हो रहा है उसे सहन ले पाए. Nothing ever will happen to you which you cannot take. Trust that in universe. Nothing ever will happen to you which is beyond your abilities, for sure. Possible ही नहीं है. अगर वो प्रॉब्लम, वो चैलेंज आपके पास आया है, then you have the strength. ढूंढना पड़ेगा. वो strength probably दबा हुआ है कहीं पे. It's there, trust me. So concluding, the discussion with this, Nafisa, if you have any points, then you can add. Else, I think we can open for questions, discussions, whatever. And I think some of the people here have read the book. So if you want to share your views, so please come forward. जो भी आपने सीखा है आप वो भी बता सकते हैं. Anybody wants to do that?
I haven't. So
Yeah, that's right. Like कोई क्वेश्चन है तो क्वेश्चन ले सकते हैं. किसी ने पढ़ा हो और बोलना हो. शिल्पा, do you want to? Yeah, okay.
Yes, I agree with you कि हमारी सोल जो भी चैलेंजेस लेके आती है उसके लिए हमको पावर होता है उसको हील करने का, उसको फेस करने का पावर हमारे पास होता है. आई पर्सनली मैंने महसूस किया है ये चीज को कि और जब हम उस चीज को ओवरकम करते हैं उसके बाद जो हमारे अंदर जो स्ट्रेंथ आती है ना वो अलग ही होती है. तो यस, थैंक यू सो मच टू रिमाइंड इट अगेन.
Thank you for sharing that. And taking forward, so अब यहाँ से क्या है what after this session basically. So we have two options to go forward. एक तो अगर I will put the PDF of the book on the group. If you are a reader, go ahead, read it. अगर आपको नहीं पढ़ना है कोई force नहीं है. What we can do is, अगर interest है, for me curiosity is like everything. If you are curious, we can actually take up one chapter at a time and talk about it in detail, क्योंकि अभी भी काफी सारे aspects हैं जो एक 1 hour के session में तो cover नहीं कर सकते हैं. But Nafisa and I would love to talk about so many things in details. So if you are curious to know more about this concept and this particular book, we can take up one chapter at a time and do regular sessions on it. If you feel कि नहीं यार अभी के लिए ये concept is good enough, let's explore and experience more things, then what we can do is we can meet regularly to talk about some other book where we have felt something life changing or change of perspective. We can talk about certain movies that have brought in that shift. Anything related to energy, spirituality, growth is more than welcome. If you guys have any ideas, you can come up and we can have a discussion on that as well. Basically, something, a space where uh, we can talk about stuff which is beyond the everyday life. वो intention है मेरा and Nafisa का when we are starting this today. So we're gonna put a poll in the group. Please feel free to let us know कि आपको कैसे आगे बढ़ना है इसको लेके. And yeah, anything else to add, Nafisa, here? Anything I'm missing out?
No, I think that's about it. I think the idea is to use this space to hopefully connect with like-minded individuals who are curious about these ideas. Some who may know about these ideas and want to share it. Some who may not know anything about it but want to learn more. I actually think there's a mix of that in this room. As like there's some people who actually have read probably many other books or whatever podcasts, talks, etc. around similar concepts, and they want to come and share. So it's not necessarily, it's a collaborative space. This is a community. The idea is to build a community where people come together to share. So for example, if you have a idea tomorrow that you want to discuss and you want to say that I want to host a session for us to come together to discuss, totally fine. This is not supposed to be me and Urmi talking all the time for the next X number of months, right? It's a space for us to come together. So whether that is in the form of going deeper into the ideas of this book, and there's a lot here, right? Like there's actually so many more concepts, like the book, like how, because I'm sure one question that all of you must have asked yourself is that the person who wrote this book, like how did he find out? Like, ऐसे कैसे उसको पता चला कि ये सब होता है, right? He had a whole process. This guy, very, very briefly, right? This guy contacts 3 mediums. Mediums are people who can essentially communicate with, like, say, soul guides and other spirits, like, so other souls, etc., to understand ki kya hua hai tumhare life mein. So he actually works with 3 mediums. He sources 10 people who've had big challenges in their life, and he sits those people down, sits 2 mediums down, and he gets those mediums to essentially find out unki pre-birth planning session mein kya kya decide hua tha. And he uses 2 mediums to do that because he wanted to ensure ki story same ho. So एक person से story ले आए, he gets that. Then second medium से story ले आए, and once you know that the stories are actually matching, there's also like, proof ki this is exactly what happened. And so there are all of these like very concepts that were extremely new for me, for example. So the book has a lot of interesting ideas in there to explore. So we can take that one path, which itself I think would open a lot of doors. And if we're like, okay, these ideas are nice and we want to explore more horizontally, then we can do that as well. But the idea is for all of us to come together. And if you know other people in your life who you think would be interested, obviously, let us know and they can also come join in. But yeah,
Yes.
that's the idea.
And I also loved the activity that Nafisa pointed out. Please ye karna, because we don't want to end this session ki हाँ सुन लिया हो गया. We want कि 1% to 1% वो change आए आपके life में. And let that activity be that change, because when you sit back and think कि ये मेरे साथ गलत हुआ था, याद करना बहुत आसान है, बट वो गलत चीज जो आपके साथ हुई है उससे आपने कुछ सीखा है, वो पर्सपेक्टिव चेंज लाइए. वो आप एक बार करेंगे ना, बैठ के करना पड़ेगा. It will take a lot of effort. Second time will take a little less effort. Third time will take even lesser effort. And fourth time, you will know that, oh, something challenging is happening in my life. Great. I am going to learn. I'm going to grow from it. Right? So let us all join our hands till we reach that phase, where life के साथ मजे करेंगे, चाहे वो अच्छा हो बुरा हो, because that's life. We are here to experience this. अब वो roller coaster ही नहीं रहेगा तो life boring हो जाएगी. Boring हमें पसंद कम है. So yes, let's hold hands, and Nafisa and I are great listeners as well. We promise you. तो अगर आपको आना है, कुछ share करना है, we would love to do that as well. With that, हमारा time भी up हो गया है. Any feedback, anything that you want to share? Otherwise, we're going to end the session here.
Yeah, questions, thoughts, feedback, anything.
No, so in 35 minutes into the call, I was very sure about forgiveness and the second point that you told. So self interpretation was the only thing missing, which you covered in the end. So yeah, right now I know who to forgive and all that. I have to blame myself technically, as far as I understand right now. Yeah. So
Blame
yeah, it was a very, yeah.
it.
Just blame is like in a fun way. Yeah.
हाँ,
Yeah. It was a very good thing. Yeah. Acha tha, very nice. And Urmi, you are going to get a lot of calls now, so be ready.
sure.
Yeah.
More than happy to. Okay. I think we're good, Nafisa. Let's end the call here. Thank you again very much for everybody for joining in. Good day. Take care. Good night to everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.